Former Ring of Honor and AEW stars The Boys respond to Tony Khan's claims that they were released due to no showing several events. However, Tony Khan stands by what he said. The Rock addresses Cody Rhodes at the WWE Hall of Fame and also receives a new championship from the widow of Muhammad Ali. Paul Heyman is inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Mark Briscoe is the brand new Ring of Honor World Champion. Billy Starks wins the Women's Television Championship at Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor after faking a neck injury. Andrade will team up with Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania, replacing Dragon Lee. Bronson Reed wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Logan Paul is going to have a special entrance at WrestleMania. The US Express pays tribute to Wyndham Rotunda, also known as Bray Wyatt, at the Hall of Fame. And Triple H says a WWE draft is coming very soon. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. But first, a reminder, we will be live for a WrestleMania watch-along tonight and tomorrow, as well as a WrestleMania post-show. So be sure to subscribe, click those notification bells, and you'll be notified when we go live this evening. Let's start off talking about the fallout from Tony Khan's comments about the boys in Ring of Honor. Now, of course, if you recall, Tony Khan stated that the boys were released by AEW/Ring of Honor due to no showing several events. Now, on April 1st, the boys, that being Brandon Tate and Brent Tate, were part of a round of AEW/Ring of Honor releases. Now, the boys were part of Dalton Castle's act and involved in the storyline between Dalton Castle and Johnny TV on Ring of Honor television. Now, when addressing the releases on the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor media call, AEW/Ring of Honor owner Tony Khan stated that the boys had no-showed multiple events. Now, we spoke about this yesterday, that the boys on social media had denied Tony Khan's claims, and actually they went into more detail on social media yesterday, displaying what they believe had happened and their interpretation of events. So let's get into this because there's quite a few different screen grabs here. So the boys, and it came from Brandon Tate's account, said, quote, "This had to be addressed." So we get into all of these statements that they release. So this is the first one. It says, quote, "We had planned to stay quiet publicly about our release to take nothing away from the biggest show of the year for Ring of Honor in Supercard tonight out of respect to the locker room that will be on it. Due to Tony's comments and the numerous fans, media outlets, friends and co-workers that have reached out to us, that isn't an option for us anymore. We want to apologize to the Ring of Honor fans and to the AEW fans that were invested in the storyline and we're expecting the both of us to be there. With so many fans wanting answers, in addition to numerous people that have voiced their comments at the thought of us really no-showing on some of the biggest opportunities of our lives due to Tony Khan's statements, here it is." They said, quote, "My brother and I were told that we would be included in the story through Supercard, and there were plans for us to be on the John and Taya be with John and Taya leading up to the show. We were asked to pitch several ideas for ourselves, insinuating we would get the opportunity to show that we can wrestle more in the future. On March 16th, our scheduled date following Dalton losing custody, for the first time in our history of flying in North America, previously with Sinclair Ring of Honor and now Tony Khan's Ring of Honor, our travel was booked out of Nashville instead of our home airport of Knoxville. The screenshots of this interaction with management and travel, including the times, are in the comments, which we'll get to in just a second. On Monday, April 1st, we were contacted by management accompanied by HR on a call to inform us of our release due to budget cuts. At the time, we raised concerns and repeatedly questioned if the release was due to the travel issues. We were repeatedly and adamantly assured that this was not the case and based solely on budget cuts. Since Tony's statement, we reached out yesterday providing the specific details, asking for Tony to clear this up. We have gotten no response. Unfortunately, in the court or public opinion, for a lot of people commenting, it's assumed that we're guilty from one man's words until we have to prove that we are not. We're now forced to release this info along with the screenshot proof to keep people from putting us down on social media or on this evening's show. We understand that putting this out is detrimental to our careers, but our back is against the wall on this, and it was either this or let Tony Khan go on saying that we no-showed. We want to thank each and every fan who has reached out and made your voices heard, as well as the locker room members who have reached out that know the truth as well. We hope you all still enjoy the show this evening for the sake of the wrestlers putting on their best, and appreciate how much we've seen that people really care about two boys who were always considered replaceable. Now, the screenshots involved, again, this is quite sort of gritty stuff, but we'll get into all of it here. So it starts off by saying, hey, this is Brandon and Brent Tate. We were wondering if we were booked on Collision/Ring of Honor this weekend because we haven't gotten our flight info yet, thanks to the Tate twins. And there's a message from AEW saying, I'll ask. Brent Tate responds by saying, okay, thank you, Tate twins. Brent Tate then says, hey, we just received emails about driving to Nashville for our flights, and we've never flown out there before because it's 3 hours away. We have an airport 15 minutes from us. And then another message said, even the old Ring of Honor never had to fly out of Nashville. AEW said, quote, reach out to your travel person and ask them why that's happening. Brent Tate said, okay, we just did, thank you, Tate twins. Now, this is a longer message from Brent Tate here that says, hey, we are getting texts from people asking if we are at the venue. We told travel as soon as you told us to fix our flights, and she said she would send us new flights, and we stayed up until midnight Thursday and still haven't received anything. Brandon and I both have had our bags packed since Wednesday. Now, AEW then released the next message to the Tate twins. It's a bit longer here. It says, okay, guys, I just got off the phone with travel. My understanding is that because Ottawa is a difficult airport to get in and out of, they tried to save $800 per ticket by having you go out of Nashville. I see your point about being asked to drive 3 hours to a different airport, but did anyone specifically tell you that you were getting new flights? And when you didn't have new flights, did you contact anyone to see what the situation was? Brent Tate said this person said she would send us flight options shortly. I didn't hear from her, so I texted from my phone about seats and didn't get a text back. I also emailed her on Sunday or Monday about hotels and seats for the flight and didn't get an email back. This is another long message here that was sent again by the Tate twins saying, quote, we never heard back if we were booked and figured since nobody got back to us from travel that we weren't booked again this weekend also. That's why we just asked if we were still booked until Supercard weekend just to avoid all of this. Nashville wouldn't have been an issue for that one day, but with NCAA basketball tournament and St. Pat's Day weekend being in Nashville, last minute would have been an issue already. That's why we always reached out on the Sunday/Monday before the shows. And they then provided this screen grab of talking about hotels in Canada as well, saying, quote, hey, we haven't heard if we were on the Canada show next Saturday for Collision/Ring of Honor. We haven't been at the last two events, and the hotel cutoff has already happened. We didn't want to book rooms and not be booked. Now, when we go back to this, it's also saying about their car travel, saying, quote, our cars aren't in good shape also. That's why we request rentals. I'm not sure why travel changed our airports week of without notice. We have flown to Canada numerous times from Knoxville, and it's never been the case. Now, AEW then responded with this message saying, quote, you had flights going from Nashville, so you were booked. If you had gotten a rental, you could have sent in the receipt and gotten reimbursed. The flights from Knoxville were 2 stops and more expensive, which is why they tried Nashville for this trip. You guys should have at least let someone know you weren't going to get on the Nashville flights, so they could have cancelled them in time. Brent Tate then responded by saying, we did tell this person that we couldn't do that flight. That's why she responded and told us she would send us another flight or other flight options. And that's what we were waiting for. It continues on by saying, we have also been told numerous times to get approved for rentals because they got onto us about getting rentals without asking. Brent Tate says, has anyone spoke to this person about our travel conversation this week? AEW said, we're all going to have a discussion the next time you're at TV. They responded by saying, that will be good. Are we expected to be in Canada next week? AEW said, hold, I'm exploring this now. Brent Tate then responded by saying, hey, just checking to see if you've heard anything about us being at the show this weekend. Tate twins. AEW responded by saying, there is no Collision taping this weekend. You'll probably be booked for London, Ontario on March 30. Okay, thanks. Brent Tate then said on Monday, March 25, hey, just checking to see if we were booked this weekend so there's no confusion on our end so we can plan our week accordingly. Thank you, Tate twins. AEW said, as of now, no. And they said, okay, we'll be on the lookout. Thank you for always getting back to us. And that is the last image that they provided. Now, as far as Tony Khan, he was asked about the responses and the reactions from the Tate twins on social media, as well as this proof. But Tony Khan said he's not going to really back down or really change what he said. Now, at the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor press conference, Tony Khan was asked by John Pollock of Post Wrestling about the claims made by the boys. He said, quote, "I've not seen their exact statements. After the show, I heard a little bit of this as I was coming back. I stand by what I said. Also, I've only owned Ring of Honor for 2 years. There is a long history of Ring of Honor. It was my call to bring them back. I like their presentation with Dalton, and I like them both personally. I've had a lot of good experiences with them. I would be open to working with them again in the future. There have been times where they came and have done great things for us. We did our House Rules tour, and I loved having them. There have been times for my era of Ring of Honor, and I've been told from the company I inherited. The other times in the past, I'm just going off my experiences. There are two sides to that story. I know yesterday they said stay tuned. I stayed tuned, and then I heard, and I am not moved." Now, later in the scrum, when addressing the releases, Khan said about the boys, quote, "Even with the boys, I disagree with the point on travel and in the history of Ring of Honor and working with us, that there hadn't been a couple of times where they didn't make and it made me change stuff. On the other hand, I really like both of them. Whether we agree or not about that point of contention, I think it's regardless. They were great and a great part of Dalton's act. I like both of them." So what do you make of what the boys have said? What do you make about what Tony Khan has said there as well? Let me know your reaction to all of it in the comments section below. Now let's talk about the Hall of Fame last night, because The Rock called out the American Nightmare whilst inducting his grandmother into the Hall of Fame. Now, it was a pretty big surprise to Hall of Fame viewers when Paul Heyman, unquestionably the headliner of the 2024 class, was the first member to be officially inducted and not the last. Perhaps it would have been less surprising, however, if they had known that the final induction would turn into at least one last angle between The Rock and Cody Rhodes prior to their main event tag team match at WrestleMania 40 Night 1 the following day. The Hall of Fame induction of Leah Maivia, the matriarch of the Anawahi family, began with a video package voiced by Anna Tusila, who portrayed her in the NBC show Young Rock. The package ran down Maivia's numerous accomplishments after taking over Polynesian Pro Wrestling from her late husband, the High Chief Peter Maivia, and becoming one of the first female promoters in wrestling history, including the 1985 Honolulu Supercard, A Hot Summer Night. Imagery and narration associating Maivia with WWE Bloodline stable was the first sign that some aspects of the induction would be in character. The Rock entering to his full Final Boss music was another. In his speech, while discussing his grandmother's work as a promoter, The Rock mentions several major stars in the 1980s who appeared on Maivia's shows, eventually landing with sudden gravity on the name of Dusty Rhodes. The Rock then proceeded to directly address Dusty's son Cody Rhodes, who was in the audience and stood up in response. The Rock cut a brief promo on Cody, telling him that what happens between them at WrestleMania isn't business, but personal. He then proceeded to plug WrestleMania one last time before sending the Philadelphia audience home for the evening. So what did you make of what The Rock said in his Hall of Fame induction speech of his grandmother, and what are your thoughts tonight for WrestleMania? Now, The Rock was also on the show involved in the Muhammad Ali induction as well last night too. It's a real people's title. You can see it right there. During the Hall of Fame 2024 ceremony, the widow of Muhammad Ali, Lonnie, presented The Rock with a People's Championship, as well as Ali, of course, was known as the People's Champion. And in 1998, The Rock asked if he could use the nickname, and Ali gave his blessing. The Rock was referred to as the People's Champion throughout his run in WWE. After accepting the title, The Rock said it's his most honored nickname. So what do you make of this nice new championship? Do you think The Rock will wear it at WrestleMania, or do you think it's just going to be a one-off? Let me know your reaction to that as well. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, Paul Heyman was inducted, as I mentioned last night, and he made several noteworthy comments. And during his induction speak, actually, he took the time to make comments regarding Triple H ushering in a new era in WWE. Saying that Triple H was the one who helped provide much-needed leadership to the locker room, he thanked Paul Levesque multiple times. Paul Heyman took time to note in his Hall of Fame induction speech that he would be forever a Paul Levesque guy. He also made note that Stephanie McMahon was also in attendance and informed the fans that if his daughter grew up to be half the woman that Stephanie is, he would have raised a great lady. Now, also interestingly, the crowd would not only chant Triple H during the segment, but after Heyman referenced his real name, they began chanting Paul Levesque. Maybe the first time that's probably ever happened to him is in his entire career. Interestingly as well, when it came to Paul Heyman, he actually referenced Brock Lesnar during the Hall of Fame ceremony. Now, of course, as I mentioned, he officially took his place in the Hall of of Fame class of 2024, and he had some rather explicit things to say. We'll talk about that in just a second. But in running down his accomplishments and the talent he's worked with, Heyman did note that he was the advocate for Brock Lesnar, giving his trademark announcement of the Beast incarnate. Now, in the induction video for Heyman, Lesnar was not showed or mentioned. The only reference of Lesnar was showing Heyman being the man who managed the 1 in 21 and 1, but Lesnar was absent from the highlight. Brock was implicated, but not outright named, in a lawsuit brought forth by Janelle Grant against Vince McMahon and the WWE. The lawsuit alleges that Mr. McMahon used Miss Grant in a sexual manner to keep a world-famous athlete and former UFC heavyweight champion with whom WWE was actively trying to sign a new contract. So, of course, it was later revealed that Lesnar was indeed the person that was referenced in the lawsuit there. Now, as I mentioned, when it came to Paul Heyman, he embraced his old ECW persona, because during the Wise Man's speech at the Hall of Fame ceremony, Paul Heyman recorded numerous highlights of his career. However, it's what he said when discussing ECW that had plenty of fans talking. Now, believing that the spirit of ECW lives on, Heyman said, quotes, "If you think the spirit of ECW died in a bankruptcy court in 2001, you can blank, blank, blank." Now, people wondered what he said at the time, considering there were notable reactions from the likes of Randy Orton slapping the ring, Grayson Waller celebrating, The Miz losing it, Jimmy Uso covering Naomi's ear, Stephanie McMahon applauding, and Cody Rhodes looking at Triple H. Well, we now know exactly what Paul Heyman said thanks to this fan video. Take a look.
If you think that the spirit of ECW died in a bankruptcy court in 2001, you can suck my fucking dick!
Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman, I guess, right? You can never change the wise man at all. But yes, let me know your thoughts about Paul Heyman's induction speech, as well as the Hall of Fame last night, which we're going to talk about a bit later on too. Now, switching back over to Ring of Honor and Supercard of Honor, Mark Briscoe is the brand new Ring of Honor World Champion. He's finally won the big one in ROH, with several family members in attendance and Leonard Skinner's Gimme Back My Bullets playing him to the ring. Briscoe was able to defeat Eddie Kingston to capture the Ring of Honor World Championship at Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. Now, he did not win the championship easily, as Kingston would make Briscoe bleed heavily and leave pools of blood in and around the ring, but in the end, Briscoe was able to withstand everything Eddie Kingston brought the fight to pin and capture the championship. After the match, it was all love as Kingston celebrated with Briscoe. Several of Briscoe's family members were in attendance, including Papa Briscoe, Mark's kids, and more. The rest of the Ring of Honor roster would come out to hoist Briscoe on their shoulders and celebrate with him. Now, this win was emotionally significant for multiple reasons. Philadelphia is the birthplace of Ring of Honor, and on April 5th, 2013, Mark Briscoe's brother Jay Briscoe captured his first Ring of Honor World Championship. Of course, Jay Briscoe sadly passed away in 2023. So congratulations go to Mark Briscoe. Now, we also saw a Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion crowned. Billie Stark wins the Ring of Honor Women's Television title. She became the first ever ROH Women's TV Champion at Supercard of Honor, defeating Queen Aminata in the finals of the tournament. However, the finish saw Starks fake a neck injury after Aminata got her knees up on a swanton. Starks was checked on by the doctors and put in a neck brace. The cameras cut away often as Starks was checked. Aminata tried to help Starks out of the ring, and Starks proved she was faking the injury by hitting a German suplex and unlocking a rear naked choke for the victory. Now, this title tournament began in February. Starks defeated Robin Renegade, Diamante, and Mercedes Martinez on her way to the finals. Aminata defeated J-Rod, Taya Valkyrie, and Red Velvet on her side of the bracket. Now, let's talk about SmackDown last night. The final SmackDown for WrestleMania saw a change to one WrestleMania match. Following weeks of what seemed like a budding alliance with Dominic Mysterio and the Judgment Day, Andrade refused to participate in a beatdown of Rey Mysterio and instead laid waste to both Dominic and Santos Escobar, siding with the LWO and setting up his role at WrestleMania 40, where he will replace Dragon Lee as Rey's tag team partner against Dominic and Escobar. Now, moments prior to a match between Zelina Vega and Elektra Lopez on SmackDown, Lee was shown backstage having suffered some sort of attack as Carlito was seen tending to his fallen friend. Vega and Rey made their way down to the ring, visibly upset about the befallen Lee, before putting their best foot forward as Vega prepared for her match against Lopez. Escobar came out with Lopez, and the two of them then brought out Dominic, who in turn had Andrade with him, seemingly as an ally. Thanks to outside shenanigans, Lopez was able to prevail in the match, but the real story came afterwards of Escobar's attack on Rey, when Andrade revealed he was on the LWO side all along. In a backstage segment to follow, Zelina, Rey and Andrade were told by a WWE official that Lee was ruled out of WrestleMania, prompting the LWO members to think aloud as to how Rey could continue against Dominic and Escobar. Andrade, who was quite interestingly absent from the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, swiftly proposed that he replace Lee in the match, and Rey graciously accepted. Before Carlito showed up, heard of the substitution, and seemed to walk away approving of it all, though one has to wonder if there'll be another shift of alliances come night one of WrestleMania. Now, speaking of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Bronson Reed has this year's honour of winning the trophy. On this week's go-home edition of SmackDown, 20 men vied for the title of Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner. 19 top rope eliminations later, only one man was left standing. That was Big Bronson Reed. Several high-profile contenders were involved in the match, including Ricochet, Ivar, and Amos. Despite the tough competition, Reed delivered a dominant performance from the opening bell until the final moments of the match, where he and Ivar were the final two. Reed narrowly avoided disaster when he evaded Ivar's doomsault in the last beats of the Battle Royal. Reed took advantage and delivered a rolling senton onto Ivar before swiftly sending him over the top rope to secure the victory. So Bronson Reed wins this year's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Logan Paul, he was actually at Lincoln Financial Field last night and then made his way over to the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. And reportedly, he's going to have a special entrance at WrestleMania this year, set to defend his United States Championship in a triple threat match against both Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Logan Paul is faced with his biggest challenge yet, becoming a WWE superstar. According to a report from PW Insider, a match of this degree of difficulty for Paul could also call for an over-the-top entrance sponsored naturally by Prime. The report states that whispers in Philadelphia this week have it that Paul's Prime Energy drink will be part of his WrestleMania entrance in some way, and that it was possible he might even make his way to the ring in or on a Prime truck. Now, when it comes, of course, to WrestleMania, we're going to be getting quite a lot of Prime involvement, as Prime is going to be WWE's first ever center ring sponsorship. For the first time in WWE history, a logo will be present in the middle of a WWE ring for premium live events moving forward. WrestleMania 40 will start a multi-event partnership between Prime and WWE, where the Prime logo will be featured in the center of the ring. Speaking on the Impulsive podcast, Triple H discussed some of the safety concerns with the logo. He said, quote, "We've done little things here and there with logos. WCW did a long time ago with logos. You see it in boxing. It's tough with what we do. There is a safety factor with the slipperiness of the ring. We've been going through this process and trying to get on the other side of that. We were finally able to make it work. It took a long time to get there. It's a different shift in philosophy. This is not the WWE that it was before. This is WWE under TKO. How they look at it and how they sell things is different. That center mat logo is sort of holy ground in a way. The fact that you are here and such a big star, and yet your company and Prime brand is taking that real estate up, that's a massive feather in your cap," Triple H said to Logan Paul. "No one likes change. They are so used to seeing this ring, this pristine thing with nothing there. You might get 90% of people who hate it. As you move forward, it's there. It's just there. If you're watching every single day, if you don't like it, you stop noticing it." So Prime is going to be featured center ring at these PLEs. It's also, of course, featured at UFC events as well. Now, going back to the Hall of Fame last night, the US Express were inducted, and they also paid tribute to the late Wyndham Rotunda. The US Express are now officially WWE Hall of Famers, as Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham were inducted during the 2024 ceremony Friday night. Rotunda's children and Wyndham's niece and nephew, Mika and Taylor, who performed in WWE under the monikers Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy, not only honored their father and uncle, but their late brother Wyndham Rotunda, better known to fans as Bray Wyatt, who unexpectedly passed away in August of last year. Quote, "He should be also standing on this stage with us tonight," Taylor said. "He may not be on this stage, but we know he's here." Quite frankly, there would be no Wyndham Rotunda without Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda, Mika added. Following Taylor and Mika's subsequent induction of the US Express, Rotunda and Windham reflected on their early days in the wrestling business before they began tagging. They recalled being put together as a team by fellow Hall of Famer Dusty Rhodes, and Barry introducing Mike to his sister Stephanie before they married one another shortly after. Quote, I would just like to say that I wish our son Wyndham could have been here. He would have liked to have seen his old man go into the Hall of Fame. So in honor of Wyndham, please join us, Mike said, holding up a phone with a flashlight turned on. Fireflies lit up throughout the crowd once more as Wyndham's music from his time as The Fiend and also Bray Wyatt echoed through the Wells Fargo Center in both a touching and tear-jerking moment to close out their induction. And finally, I mentioned that Triple H was on the Impulsive podcast. He's also revealed that a WWE draft is on the horizon. It's almost time to shake things up again, as Triple H says the 2024 WWE draft is around the corner. Speaking with Logan Paul on Impulsive, WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque brought up the WWE draft and stated it would be in a month or so. He said, quote, yeah, I'm sure we'll see people float all over the place. In a month or so, there's a thing called the draft, Triple H said. So that's when you can switch around and make moves and, it's all open to giving the best shows available on all things. Like right now, you're on Fox broadcast, but we'll see. Now, the 2023 WWE Draft was held on April 28 and May 1st across Raw and SmackDown. We get any more confirmed dates, of course, we'll let you know in the future. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.